with composition. I'm going to take composition, craftsmanship, and drawing skill. Those are my first three things. The last two things I look at are more vague. There's something called the visual impact, the unity versus the dissonance, and the readability of the piece. And the fifth one is sort of an emotional response. So those last two are sort of this touchy-feely kind of subjectiveness, whatever art makes art. And those are very opinionated, okay? But yet they have certain criteria. But the first three do not. The first three, you have composition, you have craftsmanship, or you have drawing skill. Either you have that or you don't have that. Or you have a little bit of it. Or you don't have, you have a lot of it. You know, where do you fit on that scale? So let's take them one at a time. Composition. And I'll just read this to you. Is the artist's understanding of elements of design reflected in his or her work? All right? The elements of design. You have an understanding of that. Is the composition well designed? Or is it a random, unordered cluster of objects and swirls? Because I'm dealing with realism, all the way down to surrealism, all the way down into, you know, Jackson Pollock stuff, and everything in between. Now, I got to make sure that I judge that correctly across the whole scope of things. So, if it's a random, unordered cluster of objects and swirls, and if that is true, does that help or hurt the work? Because I can see beautiful pieces of work that are random and unordered and just chaotic. And if that is true, is that helping the work or is it hurting the work? All right, so now we go to craftsmanship. All right, is the artist competent in their technique and mastery of the medium and putting paint on the canvas? Now this is a painting group, so I'm not going to talk about sculpture. You never have sculpture in this.
Rarely, yeah.
So do you have the technique and the mastery of the medium that you're working in to put that paint on the canvas? That's really what it boils down to. It's craftsmanship. I'll never forget when I was in college, I went through 4 years of undergrad work, and then I had to take aesthetics, all right? And I've been learning how to paint, I've been learning how to do all this cool stuff, and everybody was doing some really neat things. When I got to aesthetics, the teacher stood in front of me and said, and now I'm going to teach you all how to do art. Because so far, all you've been doing is manipulating paint on canvas, and it's nothing. It's not art. And you know, several people got up and walked out. They were so pissed off. But you know what? He was absolutely right. I was learning the craftsmanship, just like I was learning to wood carve, or to drill holes and put up a door. I was learning the craftsmanship of carpentry. I was learning the craftsmanship of manipulating paint on canvas. You know, what true art is something more nebulous and more different. We'll get into that towards the end, into aesthetics. So, with that in mind, do you understand your material? Do you understand how to draw a palette knife across canvas? Do you know how to apply paint? Do you know all that craftsmanship? It's also color, tone, light, and shadow. That's craftsmanship too. You're putting that into the work. Is color, tone, light, and shadow incorporated in the work? Is there a use of complementary colors? Do you have that knowledge to know if you want to make dull yellow down, you're going to mix it with purple, rather than reach for black? You know, if I see someone dulling yellow down with black, it's dead, it's lifeless. They don't understand their craft. Their craft should be, right off the bat, the easiest thing is to reach for some deoxide purple, throw that into the yellow, dull that down. They'll understand that that person has an understanding of their craft. Does the artist demonstrate a mastery in the application of the paint through the use of a brushstroke, the palette knife, etc.? You know, how is that paint applied? If you're trying to paint something that's chaotic, like in this sense, are you giving me chaotic brushstrokes? Or are all your brushstrokes sitting there, you know, Are you know, brushes are very responsive to your hand and the way you apply the brush. That's why they have bristles. The bristles bend, and they bend the way you apply the paint. So if you're trying to do something a certain way, you look at great masters of art, you'll see the brushstrokes are very much alive. They squish the paint, they pull it out. It's almost like painting with Play-Doh, especially when you get into these palette knife paintings that are real, you know, gooey, I like to say, lots of mountains and stuff. That brushstroke, if you sit there and just do it the same way, are you doing it the same way for a reason? Or is the brushstroke more expressive because of the way you're painting? Those are all part of the mastery of working, right? Now, let's talk about unity versus dissonance. Unity refers to seeing being harmonious as a whole. There's that tranquility again. A harmonious whole, however, may not be the artistic message that that person's trying to convey. You may be trying to get a disturbing effect on the viewer. And if that's true, is that achieved? See, the key here is that achieved? All right? Is it a visual impact, or is it tranquil? Are they achieving that? Is it some sort of harmonious look? Or is it a tremendous disturbing effect on the viewer? So is that achieved? Do I personally feel? And I have to say that. Do I personally feel that that's being achieved? And that's open for tons of discussion. One person may see it differently than I. Most people probably will, but once again, I have to judge it somehow. Then there's the readability issue. All right? The readability, you ask this question. Readability answers this question. Can I, as the viewer, easily fathom what that's about? In other words, is it easy to read? So all of that harmony or tranquility or discord, is that easy to read? Or do I have to go digging for that? Is that something that I'm seeing? Now, some art, however, may have a little or a lot of mystery intertwined in the work. So the viewer must think about it at length. Okay? Does this mystery add to the intrinsic value or quality of the work? I've seen a lot of... I think of a painting of like a lampshade on a dresser. There's like a pen, a pro quill. Maybe there's a half-written letter. It's laying there. There's all this symbolism in there. There's lightning outside the window. You know, I don't know what all that is. It's making me work. I may not get it. That is extremely personal to that artist. But I don't get it as a viewer. I don't understand it. So it has an air of mystery. So if it has an air of mystery to the painting, is that being achieved? Does that work for you or for me or for the viewer? Because there's nothing wrong with having an air of mystery. You know, beautiful tranquility I can get pretty easily out of a piece, readability-wise. Discord. I mean, I know the name of this piece. The name of this piece is Mind's Eye. So what is that saying to me, your mind's eye? Obviously, it's the, closing your eyes, seeing what you see. What is the symbolism? I don't understand the symbolism here, but I know what it looks like when I close my eyes, when I look at a light, I press my fingers and all those little squirrely things are going on. Is that what the artist is trying to get here? There's a bit of mystery there. So is that coming across? Or is it so personal to the artist that it leaves me cold? I just don't get it. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it. It's a cold nothing. There's no, that can happen. I see that happen. It's the personality of the artist and the artist's vision transmitted to the viewer. That's really a big key. Now, personality. I don't know what's personality of you. We hardly know each other, Barbara. I don't know what your personality here is, but is your vision being transmitted to me? And these are aesthetic questions. And I can be the most beautiful craftsman in the world. Like I said, I can, what have I got? I've got a drafting project. I've done a beautiful draftsmanship of a car. And it leaves me cold. It says nothing about what a car is. So now we're moving into the philosophical side of art. And I look at art, I look at 110 pieces, for example. I go around, at this point, I've gotten to know each and every one of these pieces. And okay, it may be badly drawn. It may be poor color. But yet, wow, that connects to me. There's something there that's just palpable, something that's intangible. Okay, the artist didn't understand how to do the drawing skills on. That might get high marks, believe it or not. Does that make sense? If you've got something personal to say, right, like maybe this is saying something, even though the craftsmanship is down. What is the intent? And that goes kind of with number 5. Let me read number 5 too, which is an emotional response. Right? And I don't know how many of you have had aesthetics or not, but art has to have an emotional response. Or otherwise, again, what was its point? What was its point? Does it convey a power, a feeling, a message, good or bad, to the viewer? And this really may be the make or break measure, because at this point, I have a lot of paintings that they're starting to separate the good from the bad craftsmanship. Some are just down here, but some are up here. They're fighting with each other, just a few points of each other. And this may be the make or break measure. It's a very intangible thing.